From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and welcome to your MTN Noon News for this Wednesday. I'm Hailey Monaco. Let's get right to our top story. We begin with continuing coverage out of Glacier National Park. All three people who fell into Avalanche Creek in the park over the weekend are alive, and a big reason for that is because some Good Samaritans jumped into action when they were needed most. MTN's Sean Wells has the story.
No pulse, no breathing. I mean, we thought, at that point, we didn't know how long they'd been in. But looking at them, I thought, unfortunately, here's two dead bodies.
Mike Skidmore was hiking along Avalanche Creek in Glacier National Park with 20 family members Sunday evening when they noticed something wasn't right.
I saw up above my brother talking to a young gal, and I could tell he, suddenly had a look of fear, or something needed to happen right away, and he yelled down and said, "Hey, there's people in the water down there, let's go help them."
Mike's brother relayed information that two people had fallen off a rock into the water and were submerged, while a third person was able to grab a hold of tree branches in the gorge.
So we immediately just turned around and ran and jumped into the water. Didn't really know what we were looking for at that point.
Mike, his brother, and nephew began searching in chest-high freezing cold water. They found the first person totally submerged.
So we had to help each other to get her out. And then my brother is a doctor. He started CPR right away.
They found the second person fully submerged in deeper water.
Luckily, two other men had shown up and kind of, held hands across the more shallow part of the river, and were able to support my nephew and I to get him up onto the shore, and then I started CPR on him right away.
Mike is a dentist and is CPR certified. He says that training helped him stay calm while trying to save a life.
The wife responded to CPR probably within the first minute. Started coughing and getting some, kind of guttural breaths. So she was almost partly revived by the time we got her husband up on the shore. It took a few minutes. Probably 3 to 5 minutes CPR to get him going.
First responders were able to rescue the third person by rappelling down into the gorge and bringing him to safety. Mike and his family's quick actions saved 2 lives.
Obviously, we knew we were in some risk to ourselves, but I think we all kind of agreed that we knew the limit of not to turn into a victim ourselves, but still being able to help them. So yeah, it was just no question to jump right in.
In Kalispell, Sean Wells, MTN News.
We turn to Billings and an ongoing murder investigation that is now casting a spotlight on domestic violence in Montana. The murder of a Billings woman allegedly at the hands of her boyfriend is bringing focus to the growing issue. 37-year-old Carrie Daly was killed in her home while her daughter slept. And a warning, some of the details are disturbing. Police say her boyfriend, professional boxer Anthony Sullivan, is charged with homicide. Daly's daughter recounted a heartbreaking early morning argument, hearing her mother plead, "I love you, I'm sorry," before Sullivan said, quote, "I'm sorry too, but I'm going to prison." Daly died of strangulation and blunt force trauma. Sullivan was arrested in Wyoming on a DUI charge and now waits extradition back to Billings. This tragedy shines a light on the risks of domestic violence and the need for greater awareness and support for victims. MTN's Hannah Pettiferry learns what help is available in the Billings community as friends and family continue to grieve.
Domestic violence is one of the most underreported crimes out there for a lot of reasons.
Carrie, known as an incredible mom, sister, and friend.
To the friends and family of Carrie, I am so sorry for your loss.
Taken too soon.
Here at the Billings YWCA, stories like this are heard often. But for CEO Erin Lambert, she says it can stop before it turns deadly.
Staying silent is dangerous.
Carrie was killed here, in her West End home on the 4th of July. After such a heartbreaking loss for the community, Lambert says there's resources to help.
We can do everything we can to create safety.
Highlighting physical abuse.
That's just such a small portion of what a true abusive relationship looks like.
From pushing, shoving, and punching.
Physical abuse a lot of times is, common, can be pushing, shoving, punching occasionally. Strangulation is really very common and incredibly dangerous and scary.
Including strangulation.
We know that victims who are strangled by an intimate partner and survive that strangulation are 7.5 times more likely to be killed by that partner in the future.
And how common it is in abusive relationships.
We speak with victims, they talk about strangulation happening on a very regular basis in their relationship frequently.
After the murder of 37-year-old Carrie Daly, who lost her life to domestic violence.
This was a tragedy that could have been prevented and should have been prevented.
Calling attention to victims.
The people often that are killed by abusive partners have never reached out for assistance.
And making it known they are on your side.
We will do whatever we can to stand with you.
In Billings, Hannah Pettiferry, MTN News.
And if you or a loved one knows anyone in a domestic violence situation, there is help available. Lambert says anyone needing help or anyone who has any questions can call 406-245-4472.
As we look around Montana, Idaho, Wyoming on this Wednesday afternoon, some light showers trying to hit the ground, but not much rain just yet. A couple showers just north of Broadus and pushing close to Ekalaka around parts of Powder River County, Carter County too. Some clouds moving over Dawson County. We have a little bit more shower activity, mostly over northern Fergus County, trying to get some over southeastern parts of Hill County, Blaine and Phillips County too. That's mainly cloud cover, just pushing off the east slopes of the Rocky Mountain front right now, but then we look further to the north and west and our incoming changes are moving our way. We have a cold front moving our direction, better chance for rain and thunderstorms, but it's going to be hot today. Our 7-day forecast with all the changes going forward in a few minutes.
Missoula police are investigating after getting a call about a man found dead inside a home. The report of an unresponsive man came in around 1 o'clock yesterday, with police confirming that they found the man in the home on the 500 block of South 5th Street East. Authorities say they are currently treating the investigation as suspicious. His body was sent to the Montana State Crime Lab for further investigation. A massive emergency response leaves a wildfire under control. A frantic few hours in Polson earlier Tuesday as a wildfire broke out just north of town. But that initial call led to a massive emergency response, and the wildfire is under control today. MTN's Emily Brown reports from Rocky Point, where evacuations were lifted just hours after going into effect.
The blue spruce fire, which you can see behind me, burned just a few acres outside of Polson, but it was quickly extinguished thanks to a coordinated effort.
With a fast response, the chances are we get to save houses and save lives.
Around 3:30 on Tuesday, a fire broke out at Rocky Point just outside of Polson.
We got reports to hear the boom, and some neighbors are reporting they heard fireworks, so those are being investigated.
According to a social media post, Polson Rural Fire was on scene within just a few minutes. Seeing the fire spreading fast, mutual aid was called in and evacuations were ordered.
All the local fire departments, Ronan, Polson, Chief Cliff, CS&KT Division of Fire responded. We had the small slurry planes that are stationed in Pablo flew out here and was dropping slurry on the fire and got it cut off.
Within 2 hours, the fire was controlled and residents returned home.
We're very fortunate how well the fire departments work together.
With windy and hot weather coming to western Montana, the Lake County Sheriff's Office wants people to be careful.
I would really question whether I'd use fireworks at all at this point and be really, really cautious if you're going to have a campfire.
Crews will continue to monitor the area. In Polson, Emily Brown, MTN News.
President Donald Trump's signing of the federal One Big Bill is setting the stage for major changes to Medicaid, including right here in Montana. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian shows how state leaders are adjusting to this new federal reality.
With the passage of H.R. 1, also known as the One Big Bill, the federal government is going to require states to put in work requirements for people on Medicaid expansion by the end of 2026. But leaders with the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services said they didn't want to wait that long to begin implementing Montana's community engagement requirements.
The department is wanting to proceed as quickly as possible.
On Tuesday, DPHHS Director Charlie Brereton and other leaders from the department addressed a legislative interim committee meeting. One of the major topics was how they're adjusting to the changes in H.R. 1.
We're still very much in the process as a department of moving through the bill and figuring out the exact requirements that actually ended up in the final legislation.
But it's already clear the law means big changes for Medicaid. It's going to require recipients to confirm their eligibility more often. It will expand cost-sharing payments that some Medicaid expansion recipients will need to make, and it mandates people on Medicaid expansion work or do other community engagement 80 hours a month. Since 2019, Montana's Medicaid expansion law has already called for community engagement, but the state's never gotten federal approval to implement it. Brereton says DPHHS considers they have a legislative mandate to move forward.
We do not want to wait until CMS promulgates rules or issues sub-regulatory guidance on the new H.R. 1 requirements.
The department is submitting a federal waiver asking to move forward with work requirements and cost sharing early. Leaders said they're still working on some of the details. For example, the state and federal laws have different rules for who should be exempted from the new requirements. DPHHS plans to release its full plans for the waiver next week, but they're already accepting public comment.
Members of the public, legislators, providers, healthcare stakeholders not only have an opportunity to weigh in on the draft waiver once that is issued on July 18th, but also to weigh in right now as we are actively drafting and designing that waiver.
DPHHS plans to submit their waiver request to the federal government in early September. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.